My mom called me last week, or she texted me or something and said, "What do you do with old comic books?" And I said, "Why are you asking?" And she said, "Well, there's just so many in your room. Mom, don't do anything with them. Stop. Don't touch. They're not in your way. They're in a, don't." So then a few days ago she says, "What about all of your old 45s?" Mom, what do
Oh
you think
no.
the answer is going to be? "Oh, just throw them out." No, I got a record player now. I'm taking him home.
We have been asking people um 5 questions.
Yeah, we do what we call our James Lipton questions. We ask everyone, we interview the same 5 questions. And I got them right here.
Okay.
Okay. Number one, what turns you on about the theater?
What turns you on about the theater?
Uh, the how creativity is expressed.
Mm.
Creativity.
Okay. What turns you off about the theater?
The people.
I should have seen that one coming.
You keep that.
Who walked into that one?
I walked smack dab right into that
Just
one.
No
like a wall.
pause. No pause.
What was a big personal success in your artistic life, and what did it teach you?
Success, and what did it teach you?
Well, obviously the show that you watched twice,
Yeah.
it taught me. What did that experience teach me? Well, it taught me how to be. I never suffered from depression before, and that show started my life of depression. So it made me. It taught me how to be empathetic, which is different than being an empath, right?
Yeah.
You agree? Yeah, it taught me to be much more empathetic.
Yeah, you can be an empath and not be empathetic. I suffer from that sometimes.
Exactly, same.
I got now. I know your whole show is about a failure, even if it wasn't of your own design. But what was a failure you had in your career, and how did you learn from that?
Well, I had no luck getting an agent, uh, like everybody does when they move to New York after taking theater school. Um, so, I mean, I literally never had an agent other than a voiceover agent.
Mm-hmm.
So everything I got was me like crashing auditions, finding creative ways to be seen, creating my own work. There you go. I never had an agent, so I never got to perform. So I had to start writing my own stuff.
Okay, imagine 40 years from now, and there's a textbook that they have to give to kids in high school or college, and in that textbook is the Marino rule. What is that rule that kids have to memorize for their theater test?
Be good to everyone.
Wow, that's a good rule.
Oh wow! I figured that would be something everybody had said.
No,
No.
actually.
Some people get really technical with their answer.
Yeah, because if you can't be good to everybody, none of the other stuff matters. If you're not someone who people feel comfortable being around, or feel like they can collaborate with, or fail in front of, then you're not doing theater.
Mm,
Yeah,
Yeah, you got to be good to everybody.
yeah.
I love that. So
Every
much.
time we've had had to answer that question, that answer has always surprised us. So it was very,
It's a
It's
very
always
interesting.
funny. I guess it's a reflection on how people see themselves when you ask them what would be that rule, because it's something that they themselves have followed, but it's also something that they would tell other people. It's like, this is what I've done that's somewhat worked, and
Mm-hmm.
if
yeah.
you it might work. Yeah,
It's a really great question, and also that it's that you pose it as a rule and not what piece of advice would you give.
yeah.
I always find advice is meaningless. unless you're going to pay for a consultation or make it a hard and fast rule. It's not Murphy's advice. It's Murphy's law.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So if you made it advice years ago, we wouldn't have learned a thing from it. Last question, and this is just a personal thing because I'm a Stomp fanboy. Did you ever perform in the Orpheum in Memphis?
Yes.
In in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Okay, I probably saw you because my sister took me to see that show, and Stomp was the one reason no one gave me a broom for about 10 years. So I was a big Stomp fanboy for the time.
Let me think. Hold on. You might not have seen me. I was on tour in the U.S. in. I'm pretty sure it was like '96 or '7.
So that was probably the show that my sister saw because she, after a while, my family realized that I was going to be one of those kids. So they took me to a lot of shows in like the Orpheum in Memphis and things like that. And I hated to say that my first musical ever was Cats, and it changed my life. Now, it's my guilty pleasure. It's my one like secret. I go like, no, I don't. Because you always have to come up with a better answer when you're talking to when you get
Your favorite musical, yeah.
So it's not even a guilty pleasure. It's just you just love it.
It's a thing.
His favorite thing in the world. He still has. I think. Don't you still have the tape, or did you break the tape after wearing it?
I watched it all day, every day. It was like I had the Stomp Out Loud VHS. I bought it at the show, and then we had the VHS tapes, and I swear I watched them all day, every day for 6 months, and then I broke the. I'm old enough to know what VHS tapes were, and we broke. I broke the tape, and I put it together with cellophane, and then I broke it again. So it was very.
We're old millennials. In fact, they started calling us.
That's another thing. You know the joke I do about millennials. A record is a thing. Last night, I finally just fessed up, and I was like, so I've been doing this bit about millennials for like the past 4 months, and you know what? It's not a great bit because it's kind of like putting everybody in a box. But it's totally accurate. But it's also really showing that I'm a boomer, which I'm not. I'm too young to be a boomer.
Yeah, you're
Just spun off this whole thing about like, well, I'm very self-referential. I can't like let anything go by without commenting on it. But yeah, it's just a good joke.
No, it's a good joke, and I'm a substitute teacher. And if you just said Zennials, none of them know what a record is.
They don't know what VHS is or any of that.
So
Cassettes.
Anything that isn't about like what this little postcard like thing I'm holding in my hand is, they don't understand.
Here's how much I love cassettes.
Oh wow!
Oh.
You and him can have all day conversations about cassette tapes.
I had to give up my collection to move up here, so it was very much.
He was devastated.
Yeah.
The other day, I went out for a bike ride, and as soon as I got outside, I saw like a pile of junk at the neighbors, and I saw a Post-it note that said, "This works," so I got it.
Oh.
Yeah, this is pretty great. This works.
Oh my god.
Gosh.
It's a record player.
Oh my gosh, that makes my day. That's awesome.
I'm excited to have a record player.
If we didn't live in like a little like shoebox of a house, I would have a record player or the old record player combos that had the double VHS, the double disc decks, and then
yeah.
When there's no room, and then we have cats that would just ruin it.
I think that's it for us.
I love the interviews. I feel like we've been here for 3 days, but it's been about an hour.
It's like we could talk forever. We're chatty, so
you're awesome. We're totally going to get together in IRL.
Yes, please and thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you're already following us on Facebook. If you can put up with us on there, in real life is fine.
Hey guys, if you like what we just did, there's going to be plenty more coming up. Please like, comment, subscribe. Our Venmo is in the description. Please support us if you can. Our cats need the money.